Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Monday night, which means it's Bundesliga and A-League review time, and the seasons are winding down because we've had a massive week in both leagues, a week in which the title has been decided in both leagues. In the Bundesliga, it's been decided in stereotypically dominant fashion with a team who just dominated the league from start to finish this season, broke every record imaginable, and deservedly won the title with 4 games still to play. And in the A-League, we've had a stereotypical A-League title win in which the team have shithoused their way, basically, well, not really, in which the team who've done really well but then hit a really bad run of inconsistent form have stumbled across the line because in typical A-League fashion, the team chasing them have absolutely cocked it up at home and handed them the title on a fucking silver platter. So congratulations to Bayern, my beloved Bayern, and congratulations to Newcastle Jets on your first ever A-League Premier's plate. We will acknowledge that.
Yeah,
no
well
matter
done.
the fact that you basically won it by tripping over the line and basically
David
having...
Bradbury,
by
yeah.
tripping basically before the line and then Auckland pushing you over the line. But the A-League wouldn't have had it any other way, would it, Ben?
No, it wouldn't have. And it's the Stephen Bradbury effect. You've probably seen that footage of him winning a gold medal at the Olympics, basically.
Oh,
from
that
all
was
his
who
other.
it is. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. But no, look, good for Newcastle. It's going to be a fantastic last round of the season, last day of the season, which we'll probably talk about as we go
It's
along.
funny how you say it's going to be fantastic. It's probably going to be drab, boring, and dull. But
well, hopefully not. But the one thing I will add to Newcastle winning the title, and then I'll get on to Bayern just quickly, is it hasn't been confirmed yet, but it's almost certain that the second AFC spot next season is going to go to good old Heidelberg United. So kudos to them if it works out that way. They deserve it. It's great to be seeing, you're going to have Pohang Steelers and, John Brook Motors and all these
rocking
other
up out
teams
the back of Northland.
going to Heidelberg. I think that's going to be fantastic for a great advertisement for the game. But Bayern, I mean, look, credit to them. They were always going to do this for most of the season. It was inevitable, and they did it. So if you want to kick things off,
I will quickly say there is one more trophy we should acknowledge that happened that got decided this week. As good as the Bundesliga title is for Bayern, as good as the Premier's plate is for Jets, let's acknowledge the amazing accomplishment of Western Sydney Wanderers getting their first ever wooden spoon.
Yes.
Congratulations, Wanderers. From a Sydney FC fan, you can shut the fuck up about you being the first ever team in Sydney to win the fucking Asian Champions League, because we'll throw right back at you. You're also the first fucking team in Sydney to win the wooden spoon, so have that. Right? You can shut your fucking traps about that nonsense now, because you've got nothing to back it up on now that you've accomplished this. And look, I absolutely applaud Ufuk Talay for absolutely ruining his career as an A-League coach by going there next season, because I don't know why he's done that, but fucking hell, your loss, Ufuk, mate, your loss. Anyway, yes.
Well said.
Back now onto the first point of focus for this video, like always, the Bundesliga, and we'll begin with the home of not the champions-elect anymore, but the champions. The new champions, well, we were last season, but yeah, Bayern doing Bayern things. But as I've said to other friends of mine, it's not about the fact we've won the league. Obviously, I love the fact we've won the league, obviously, but it's the manner in which we've done it this season. The amount of records this team has just broken just is astounding. And there's still records we could still potentially break in the last 4 games this season as well. Like, the goal-scoring record's the biggest one, obviously, that comes to mind. We've sailed past that now. Like, we're looking at 120-odd, potentially, off these last 4 games. Mainz, Heidenheim, Wolfsburg, Köln, those are 4 games where we can easily fill our boots and get 4 in every game minimum. 3-4 in every game minimum, right? And that takes us beyond 120 if we accomplish that. So, I mean, look, fair credit. And look, Alphonso Davies, I said it on the show last week, he's the only outfield player that's yet to score in the league for us this season. Goes and scores against Stuttgart. It's like it was meant to be, right, Ben? Yes, I know an aid of deflection, but, it's still his goal. He'll claim it. It all counts the same. And, that does mean that this season in the league, every single one of our first-team squad in the outfield has scored a goal in the league. So that means if we get penalties in our last 4 games, give them to Neuer, give them to Urbich, and maybe we'll play Ulreich in one game as well and give him a go as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. Like it's like junior sports, like your reverse grid in my junior cricket career where I got to open a couple of times. So same sort of, like Mike Bosnia's taking a penalty for Central Coast Mountain, and against for the Socceroos against Solomon Islands, like
Danny Vukovic for Wellington.
Exactly. All those goalkeeper goals in the EFL, but I think on the last day or the last couple of games, if that was to happen, I think you've got to do that just for massive
giggles.
Massive.
I mean, it would be incredibly disrespectful to the opponents, but still. But yeah, look, on the game itself, to be fair to Stuttgart, I was impressed with how they started. They took the lead, obviously. Chris Furyk, good finish. But that kind of just woke us up and pissed us off, and we're like, we're not going to faff around, we're going to win this game, win the title. And from that point on, it was pretty much one-way traffic, save from a pretty decent finish to pull it back to 4-2 at the end from Stuttgart. It was just normal service really after the Stuttgart went in front for Bayern. And this is a team that's got 2 big games ahead of them now that we've won the league. We got the Champions League and the Pokal to focus on. We've got that game against Leverkusen this Wednesday, so it's huge. Like, the sights are fully on the treble and should be right now. Is really what we have to talk about for Bayern now that the league is wrapped up. Even though this is a Bundesliga and A-League review show, I will put it to you, Ben, because I'm a Bayern fan and I'm obviously optimistic. Do you think the treble is on for Bayern?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Champions League form has been pretty solid. So,
let's not forget PSG is going to be a very, very difficult game.
Oh, they will. But I mean, if you, maybe I was going to say maybe in those games if you've got I know it's sort of different league, but if you got penalties in that game, maybe don't give them to your goalkeepers. As tempting as it might be, but no, I think you guys are right in the mix. If you can get over PSG, then you got one.
Well, it's if we get past PSG, it's Atletico or Arsenal. And whilst I think Atletico could potentially spring a surprise in a final, there's no fucking chance Lego Head's doing it.
No.
As I will quickly
get to him later.
Well, we're not doing it in Premier League, but I will point out City did beat Arsenal, so Arsenal are going to bottle the Premier League again.
Yes,
as I said on Thursday, I believe. It happened, as we could all predict, but anyway, back to the Bundesliga. Look, Bayern doing Bayern things. The records were breaking, absolutely ridiculous. It's not really much else we can say about that. It's just one of those, and Bayern games from here on out, and we've won the league, so it's just really about any further records we can break. Moving on to some of the other games that took place then this week. We'll talk about your lot, because why not? And how you've been pulled back into a relegation battle, not only through your result, but through another result we'll talk about straight after. But firstly, on your game, I mean, very disappointing to concede a penalty like that late on when you had a very big win in your sights.
Just dumb. Like, it is, and it's sort of this game I actually didn't watch in full. It was a 4:30 in the morning kickoff, and I had a big week. So, but I did see highlights, and look, probably the best attacking game I think we've played. One of the best we've played all season. Just really, that hunger was there. Ando was unlucky. He had a shot cleared off the line by a fucking striker. He was literally almost in the crowd by the time the ball got cleared. Arca and Syed Al-Mahla were very quiet. I think Arca got subbed off after the hour. And they were the 2 guys I was really concerned about from their attack. And they were pretty ineffective. Karel Metz scoring his first Bundesliga goal. But hey, in typical Pauli fashion this year, a great moment is ruined by a moment of sheer stupidity. I've talked about the Dortmund game where we were 30 seconds away from getting a point. Look at where that point would have had us now. It would have been 4 points instead of 5, although I thought it was only 3 points. Clearly the weekend has rattled my brain in terms of other results, but just dumb. I mean, how hard is it to keep your feet when the ball's almost out? To give away a penalty in the 86th minute, just stupid, really. when you know what's at stake, like you said, a win and a really deserved win, I would have thought, after some really positive results of late, except for the game against you guys, but that was obviously not going to go that way. But aside from that game, and as I said, one of the really high attacking games that we've had this season, especially post winter break, really disappointing to cough that up. It's 2 points dropped absolutely, and I said to you before we jumped on, I'm really concerned now. I haven't been too worried in terms of, because I thought, we might be able to escape and finish what we did last year, or we get to the playoff and we've got our full complement of players hopefully back by then and we'll be okay. I'm mildly starting to worry now that might not even happen, and I hope to fuck that it doesn't, because if we go down, I'll be really pissed off.
Yeah, it'll absolutely damage our channel.
I'll be furious.
I will as well. It'll damage our channel. How are we going to review the Bundesliga if your team ain't in it anymore?
Well, I'll still be able to watch the games.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
So we can sort of But
hoping Hamburg go next. Yeah.
Well, hopefully it won't come to that. There's a 15-pointer on Saturday night against Heidenheim away, and then I think it's Mainz and then Leipzig and then Wolfsburg to finish the season. And I've said this week on week, and I'm going to say it again. Please, and I even posted on the club's Instagram channel that we needed to just win on the weekend, and we didn't. Please,
you should have posted it in German. They probably didn't understand it when you said it in English.
No, there's a translate button, and that's how
maybe the direct translation fucked up, and the translation translated to please don't win.
Yeah.
You got your wish.
I did, but for the sake of my mental health, guys, please don't let it get to that last day, similar to the fashion of the A-League coming up, where Adelaide and City basically playing for third spot potentially, because that's gonna absolutely ruin me, and I just don't need that, especially if I'm gonna have to wait the whole weekend by that point to find out what's gonna happen. What's gonna happen? We are good enough with 4 games left if we really want to actually dig in and start getting points, not just single points as well, against sides that we should be, 2 sides that we definitely should be beating. Do you want it bad enough? And I say that about Saints week in, week out. That's the test now. And we'll talk about some of the other results that have affected this one, because that really stings as far as I'm concerned. And I had to rely on sort of apps and stuff to know what actually happened. As I said, I didn't see the game, but just seeing the highlights, the goal for Metz was fantastic. It was a set piece, a corner, flicked off the byline, and then Metz with a great header, really well timed. Otonji was good. Credit to Kobles. Yep, made a save with his foot off Otonji to basically keep them out early, and Otonji looked like he really wanted to feast, and it's good to have him back. They're going to need him back starting.
Credit to who?
Is it who the
Dortmund's keeper, Schwaber.
So that's the one, Schwaber. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, Dortmund lost, so
Yeah.
Credit to Schreiber or whatever his name is. Yeah. For keeping them out, because that basically saved Köln from going down early. So, but anyway, I mean, I came into the game worried about their attack, and it turns out I didn't have a lot to worry about except for the stupidity of our own defenders. So one of them in particular. But it does remind me a little bit of the Leipzig game at the start of the second half of the season, where almost the exact same thing happened. They scored and we got. I mean, it was there, but we got a penalty later on and we scored almost identical minutes, I think, really. So, but we've got a massive game against Heidenheim, and if other results hadn't gone the way they did, I wouldn't be as worried. But now I genuinely
those other results, and we'll talk about the big one next. It was that Wolfsburg game where for so long we've been saying Wolfsburg look done, they look gone. No. This performance was the best performance they've had in absolutely ages. And look, a bit of a baptism of fire for men's professional football's first ever female coach. It has to be said. They weren't good, in all honesty. This isn't me being sexist, people. This is me just telling it how it is. Wolfsburg were the better side. Get over it, right? So
don't come at us in the comments, guys. We've credited her, and I think it's a fantastic thing still for football. But I mean, they were just completely outclassed from the start. When Wimmer scoring 11 minutes in. Yeah.
It's not been a great couple of weeks for Union. They went down to Heidenheim in a poor performance, and then they've played the second bottom team and gone down then against them in another poor performance. So, I mean, it looks like Union are their season's kind of petering to a very disappointing end. Yeah. But for Wolfsburg, that win is absolutely ginormous. I'm not sure if it was played after your game. I kind of think it is, but people can correct me if I'm wrong. If it was, I have a feeling maybe those players saw your result and then,
It was because we played the night
started
before.
thinking, wait, hold on. We have a chance to close the gap here.
Yeah, so, and it was because we played... We played the night before, so absolutely it was the following afternoon. So they definitely would have seen that result and thought, we're gettable and we're the hunted now. So whether we like it or not.
Look, if they're going to stay up and really make this fight a go, it's good to have people in their squad who can be relied on for goals. Pasinovic scores in consecutive weeks after waiting practically all season for one. They look, far more confident now. And then going into that Gladbach game next week, when you guys have a big game against Heidenheim, you'd have to start to think maybe Wolfsburg are going to really give it a go there as well. And if it doesn't go well for you away at Heidenheim, which, let's be real, it's not the easiest place to win, especially of late. Heidenheim look a lot better now than they did a couple of months ago. There's every chance you don't win that game. Wolfsburg get a win at home to Gladbach, and then all of a sudden the picture's completely flipped on its head for you guys, and you become the team chasing the team.
Yeah.
So, look, massive win for Wolfsburg, disappointing for Union, but at this point of the season, it's really just about it's not so much about the teams who are comfortably finishing in mid-table, it's about the teams who are in relegation or top four battles. Really. Yep. So, speaking of which, we'll quickly rattle through a couple of games which were non-entities. Freiburg versus Heidenheim. Look, I know Heidenheim, they've been decent of late, and we said they're going to fight a chance. I think that's probably them done, though, about now. But look, fair credit to them. They've given it a good go, and they're probably still there. Obviously, again, you guys, they have a chance to upset that party. Not party, I should say, but really put win
a game, you mean?
Hammer the nail a bit more in, for Freiburg's case, I mean, look, they've got a semi-final midweek against Stuttgart in the Pokal. You could see them getting through that. Yeah. They've gone through to their first ever semi-final in Europe as well midweek, just gone. I mean, they are having a fantastic end to the season as things stand. Another win in the Bundesliga. They're on a
really
good run of form.
Mm-hmm.
They're pushing for Europe still. I mean, look, they're seventh now. They've gone above Frankfurt. So, I mean, look, probably not going to catch Leverkusen, but they're really making a good go of it. And they've got some players in that team who they'll be fighting to keep hold of in the summer, I reckon.
Well, I was just going to say,
Zambi is one
I was just going to say on him another goal, and I'd be surprised if he's there next season and doesn't get picked up by.
I mean, and the other thing is,
bigger clubs.
He's got a World Cup as well to look forward to. You expect he's going to be quite prominent in that Switzerland team in the World Cup. So, I mean, he is one to look at for other clubs in the summer. Probably not you guys, sorry to say.
And then we're going to do a World Cup review closer to him, but he's going to be massive for Switzerland, and also the flag is a big plus as well. So that's going to be great for.
But I mean, look, as I said, not much on the game really, apart from a big win for Freiburg. They're assembling a team of just very likable players, I guess you could say. Very likable team. I always liked them when Christian Streich was their manager, and I think it's just continued about, and they just seem like a well-run club.
They're a good team to watch. Exciting football as well.
There was a game this morning with not too much riding on it. A 1-1 draw between Gladbach and Mainz. I know the commentators made it sound like Gladbach is still kind of in the relegation picture, but let's be real, they're definitely not at this point. Neither Mainz. they're too good to just drop so many points in their last 4 games that they're going to be in any danger of relegation. Unlucky for Mainz, obviously, having that defeat, having that 2-0 lead turned around, overturned by Strasbourg to be eliminated from the Conference League. But look, it wasn't a great performance from them, but they got a point in the end. It's really what matters. And as for Gladbach, their season's been a bit of a kind of a hit and miss. They had an awful start. They went on an amazing run of form. Tabakovic was scoring every week. His goals have dried up a lot recently, and they've just started to just wobble a bit more. And they've had a weird season for me. Mönchengladbach, I don't know how you see it, Ben.
Well, I had a look at some of the highlights, and the fact that Amiri scores in the last minute of the game, in the 8th minute of stoppage time for a penalty, just probably sums up the game. Like you said, Scally scored in the 7th minute, and aside from probably the 2-goal bookends, there wasn't much to talk about, really. I mean, Mainz and Gladbach are both sort of not in danger of being relegated. It's just a matter of where they finish now, and hopefully, for my selfish sake, Gladbach slip a little bit, because we all know what that means.
I don't think you want them to slip next week, though.
No, but I'm just saying at the end of the season, hopefully they're just below us, because that'd be good for us for obvious reasons. So, but in terms of this game, like you said, not too much to talk about really, and the penalty was there at the end.
As I said, we're at that stage of the season now where it's going to be a lot quicker going through these games, because games like this, which have far less riding on it, there's no need to really talk about it, because the focus now is relegation and top 4. Right, now that the title's decided and all these mid-table teams aren't really going anywhere, there's really only those 2 things to focus on. Europe to extent, but Leverkusen have such a gap on Freiburg, even that's less of a conversation. So yeah, I mean, speaking of Leverkusen, they went down pretty in an ordinary fashion after a massive win against Dortmund last week. Augsburg just can do this. They did this to us, of course. They're the only team that's managed to beat us so far this season.
Did it to us as well, yeah, absolutely.
Yep, that's less surprising, sorry.
No, it still happened.
I love what you said, like that. Oh, they've beaten Leverkusen, and they even beat Bayern, and then you chime in with, oh, they beat us, and I'm like, yeah, no shit.
To be fair, most teams have beaten us. But another late winner.
Yeah.
Like Rita, 7th minute of second half stoppage, just incredible, really. And again, another early goal from Patrick Schick. So that the game was sort of right on within the first 15 minutes.
Schick sometimes pulls out these amazing headers, and this was another one. Of them. But yeah, look, for Leverkusen, I mean, look, it's another symbol of how disappointingly inconsistent their season has been. A massive win against Dortmund the week before, and they just can't back it up in any way whatsoever. They won the game before, they won the week before the Dortmund game as well, and then they just slip back again. And obviously, for my sake, I hope they slip up midweek so we can get to that Pokal final. But yeah, it's just a weird one with Leverkusen. Is it fully working with Kasper Hjulmand? I don't know. I'm not 100% convinced if he's the man. I mean, is it at the same time? It's a bit silly just to sack him in the summer. He's not been that bad. It's just the team have struggled for consistency all season. And look, for Augsburg, they're still in and around that mid-table spot they always love to be. They're 9th at the moment, of course, so they're smack bang in the middle of the table as things stand. But yeah, it's been one of those standard seasons for Augsburg, and for Leverkusen, not a season that's, I know they've got 4 games to go, and if they win all 4 of those, then the picture changes. But as things stand, it's been a season blighted by careless inconsistency at times.
Yeah, it has, and like you said from the outset, Augsburg are capable of doing this, to you guys and other sides as well. The fact that I said last week that their logo is a pot plant, and the fact that the plant has been growing sort of steadily all season, and paying dividends, and I'm going to keep making that joke probably every week now to the end of the season. So Augsburg fans, like it or lump it, that's my sense of humour. I have to have a sense of humour given my team is closer to relegation now, automatic relegation, than they were 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, even longer. But yeah, Leverkusen's been up and down, but I think they've probably got other things to worry about, really. So yeah.
I mean, speaking of a team that's really started to solidify their top 4 spot, Leipzig way too good for Frankfurt on the day. Just they've been solid this season. You can't deny it, really. After how poor they were last season, for their sake, them getting back into the top four has been huge. Jan Diamande, the big question is over him. Is he going to be a Leipzig player next season? That's the big question, really, with them, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Another really well taken finish again today. Sorry, today, so this weekend.
Just quality. Is one in a. Pardon me. One in a few of players of this calibre that may be at other clubs next season potentially. It'd be great for Leipzig if he does show sort of loyalty and sticks around. But he's had a fantastic season. He's certainly gone a long way to getting Leipzig where they are now. Noosa, Conrad, Harder, scoring again. So pretty sort of stock standard win for them, I would have thought.
They've got a good young team, Leipzig. It's just can they keep them for long enough to consistently challenge? Because they've got players who will be wanted by other clubs, like not even in this league, just outside of this league, Premier League clubs and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I could see him in the Premier League.
The question is on Leipzig now: are they going to overtake Dortmund into second? Because for so long, Dortmund look relatively untouchable in second, but now there's maybe some doubt starting to creep in. I won't get to that game just yet. We'll cover the Hamburg-Bremen game quickly first before we round off with the Dortmund game. It's a game between two teams, just probably safe enough from relegation at this point, but not really going anywhere too far up the table. But nevertheless, a big win for Bremen, that was, and they were well worth it. Hamburg were crap.
Yeah, I was just gonna quickly say on that Leipzig game, it was nice of you. I almost called him Johan. Nice of Jurgen Klopp to take time out from shooting those awful Trivago commercials to be in the stands for that game. But we're on to the Bremen game. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, look, they were well worth the win. Hamburg were ordinary at best. The red card didn't help them, of course, and a pretty shocking red card at that, I must say. But yeah, Bremen well worth the win, and a good time for them to get a win with a dominant, solid performance. And look, where would they be this season without Jens Stay? This isn't the first time he's popped up to help his team get a win. You'd think if it happened more often, they probably would be much higher up the table.
If it had been a couple of months ago, without any shadow of a doubt, they would have been a bit further up the table. But he took centre stage. I know that's not the pronunciation of his name, but the way it's spelt. No, he was terrific, and they deserved this win. Hamburg have been sort of set for survival for a number of weeks now. So 3 red cards, though. That's pretty.
No, one got rescinded.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The app hasn't updated. The website hasn't updated yet, but I was going to say having 2 in the space of 2 minutes is pretty crazy.
Red card.
No, I know, but the website here is showing 2, so obviously it hasn't updated. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So 2 red cards. Anyway, that's still weird too. So yeah. As far as Bremen go, again, just puts the blood pressure up. I can't speak tonight. What's going on? The blood pressure up for me a little bit more this week.
I mean, that's opened up a 5-point cushion over you now. I think for that sake, it's probably enough to keep them clear of relegation. You'd think like 4 games to go, if they pick up any more points, even if you do win a couple of your last games,
their goal difference is better than ours.
It's hard to see you closing a 5-point gap in 4 games. Obviously, you could, but just going off the face of it, I would say that's kept Bremen up, that win.
Yeah, not winning the other night definitely hurt that.
But it's not to take away from the fact that it's been a bitterly disappointing season for them, regardless of where they finished, because of how bad it's been for most of this season. For Hamburg's sake, of course, with their return to the Bundesliga, I think it's been passable. I think first half of the season they were a lot better than they've been largely in the second half of the season. I feel it's kind of slipped backwards a bit for them, but they did enough work in the first half of the season that even though they're only 5 points clear of you as things stand, again, you just feel they did enough earlier in the season to keep themselves clear enough of relegation. So they'll take that first season back since 2018, I believe. You know, it's been a respectable season. They've had some players who've really shown up on their day. Dompe, of course. Fabio Vieira, probably one of their best players this season. And to give him credit, even Koenigsdorf has been better in the last couple of months than he was at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I think Merlin Paulson's been Paulson's done a fantastic job with them. I didn't know much about him when they started the season, but they've done a really good job, and I'm giving genuine credit to them as much as I hate to do so. On the proviso that we, assuming we finish where we are and we win the playoff, I look forward to meeting them in the top division next season again.
The hate now that you've had if you stay up, now that you've had a season with them again, now the hatred will start to come back. I felt it was a little passive between you and them, as in you as a fan, not like the clubs, but your hatred towards them been a bit passive at times this season, and I kind of put it down to the fact that it's been so long since you've been in the top flight with them.
But also the struggles of our club and not winning a game for 10 weeks, and now being on the precipice again of automatic relegation, and where we end up finishing because we've got 4 massive games left and 4 finals, right? So that's also why I'm prepared to give them a bit of credit, because they've done what they set out to do, and they've done it with a month left. And same with Bremen, and credit to both of them. And please, St Pauli, please don't screw me over. I want to be watching Bundesliga football at 2 o'clock in the morning again next season, not fucking second division. I'm going on a rant, but it's worth it, because there's so much at stake,
I'm saying is that earlier this season we had a really good, fantastic 4-3 Nord derby between these two teams. Wasn't quite the same in terms of the goals in this game, but there was a fiery aspect to this one yet again, so you can tell there's a lot of bad blood between those two teams. And to round off the round, though, we'll talk about the team whose result on the Saturday basically meant our win again. Had we beat Stuttgart, which obviously we did, we would have won the league, even though it was almost all but mathematically done regardless. After waiting so long for Dortmund to drop points when Leverkusen beat them last season, you wait so long, like Sunday buses, you wait so long for one, and 2 come around, and then 2 come immediately. Thank you, Hoffenheim. Thank you, Andre Kramaric. Dortmund, shove it.
So you're happy they were defeated 2-1 by Hoffenheim then? And credit to Hoffenheim, because they were our team for since we started the channel.
The team that was in such good form, and they've
finally back in winning ways.
What a way to do it! Obviously, the job's not done for them. They've still got to keep that pressure up in these last 4 games as they continue their hunt for Champions League football. But what a win! And talk about unlucky. Like, both those penalties conceded. Very unlucky on Dortmund, but hey, that happens sometimes. Look, the title for them was done anyway, wasn't it? Let's be real. But, that's probably... This game basically said, Bayern, take the title this week, basically. Look, those penalties were so unlucky. The second one in particular as well, it initially got given as a defensive free kick for Dortmund from a foul in the box from Hoffenheim, and on review when they looked, there was the ball hit the hand of I think it might have been Ben Sebaini, but I might be wrong. It's Brandt, I think. Hit the hand of, I can't remember who it was. It was Brandt or Ben Sebaini, I can't remember, but it hit the hand of one of them basically as it was going towards the middle of the box, and they had to review it. On review, they saw that and then gave the penalty to Hoffenheim instead when it was about to be a foul going the other way. Just extremely unlucky, really, from Dortmund, but it happens sometimes in football, unfortunately. Hoffenheim, Kramaric, the ever-reliable 2 spot kicks in a pressure game. Great finish from Guirassy, but
quality.
Back-to-back defeats for Dortmund, and the title race is over. They're out of Europe. The Pokal's over. It's the end of their season, really. For them, it's just about holding on to second now, as Leipzig have closed that gap to 5 points, and Dortmund have Freiburg next, and that is going to be no easy game for them there either. So if they lose or drop points there, Leipzig playing a very out of sorts Union Berlin, close that to 2 points with 3 games to play. All of a sudden, there's a proper race on for second place, isn't there?
There is, and that's what you want to see now that obviously you guys have wrapped up the title. It's all about what the European spots are going to look like, and and that'll sort of work itself out, and then we'll sort of start worrying about the relegation battle. And I mean, from a neutral point of view, which I don't have, but if I did, I'd be saying it's on both ends of the table. It's going to be a really good finish to the season, I think. Regardless mostly of what happens, but do you guys deserved champions yet again, and like I said before, if you're playing games for the rest of the season and you got penalties, get the goalkeepers up to take the spot kicks. I mean, it's, as a former goalkeeper myself in another life, I'm a card carrying member of the goalkeepers union, so you love to see it. So it's not taking the piss. It's just it's you can do it because you can, right? It's not flaunting extravagance or wealth or anything. But we've got the second last week of the A-League has just wrapped up, so
we'll get on to that right now. But before we do, don't forget, people, if you've made it this far, don't forget to give us a like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. But on to the A-League, and I mean, look, the regular season is 1 week away from its end, and then we go into finals, and it's just been a season to behold out of pure, just not great at all. It's been one of the worst seasons in a long, long time, possibly ever, in A-League history, in my honest opinion. Now, granted, I didn't really watch it properly prior to 2008, so you would have more insight to the first 3 or so seasons, but still, nevertheless, you can't take away from the fact that this has been a bad season of A-League football, and, illustrated perfectly by the fact that Newcastle, who for a while were the only team with any sort of consistency, over the last few weeks have just been stumbling towards the finishing line, and in the end basically got pushed over the finishing line by Auckland. So, I mean, if that's not symbolic of the league this season, then I really don't know what is.
Well, I was just going to say on the Newcastle game while we're talking about it, because we'll probably talk about it a little bit more later on to a point. I've made mention of this on this podcast previously, and I've actually been at games where this has happened. Amy Park, get your shit together with the Seagulls. Get a hawk or an eagle or whatever. It's actually gone viral, that clip, and I showed this to you over the weekend. There was a 15, 20 formation of Seagulls up the Newcastle end in the second half on Friday night, and it's just ridiculous. I mean, one of the Seagulls should have taken a Newcastle set piece. It looked like at one stage it was, talk about parking that you set up the wall for a defensive free kick, and it's just Seagulls and no Jets players. I mentioned the other week I went to one of the City games midweek, and the Seagulls came into the grandstand at the back of the stand at half time, and it was no wonder the crowd was only 3,000 or whatever it was. It's ridiculous. It really is. And if they want to call themselves a top flight sports stadium and have international competition there, get it together, because it's just an embarrassing look for and I was worried they were going to shit on me at one point. That's how serious I was taking it. And I'm like, City's behind. I've got to go watch Storm there on Saturday night too, and then back to Amy for the last game of the season on Sunday. So, maybe I'll just take some live shots of the seats and live Seagull cam or something. But look, credit to the Jets. We'll talk about that game a little bit more, because there's another game that happened over the weekend we're probably going to talk about in place of victory, because I just don't see any point in talking about them. Really, it's a foregone conclusion.
Newcastle didn't win the league with that draw. It was what happened in another game we'll get on to shortly. Victory had already been safe for finals. It's what it is. The finals are basically already decided now. Speaking of a team who are just outside, who are hoping to get in but really won't anymore. Wellington, the talking point from their game, of course, consigning the Wanderers to their first ever wooden spoon. Thank you very much. Thank you for that, Wellington. It's been an absolutely disastrous season for Wanderers. It inevitably went wrong from the beginning of the season with good old Alan Stajic and Stajball. They left it far too late, in my honest opinion, to make a change, and when they made the change, it was the most uninspiring one I could think of. Gary Van fucking Egmond. when was the last time he coached before this season in the league? What, when he coached Jets like a fucking 12 years ago or something, if not further. Like, absolutely piss take of a decision that was. That basically, at that point, that basically showed the league that they weren't even remotely getting close to finals, and it's turned out exactly that way. You told me just before we started the recording today that Ryan Fraser's officially decided to join Sydney come the summer, so we're having another one supposedly from a Wanderer from Wanderers to Sydney. It just happens like it's fucking. It happens like it's every month. The way this happens, it's just the norm. In this league, there's no such thing as rivalry. Players just jump freely between rival clubs like it means absolutely nothing.
Exactly. Just one thing I'll mention on Wellington. Look, I mean, they would be lucky, or they were not lucky, but deserved to get the win. But the thing I like about the Phoenix is they're a Wellington club, but they've played at different venues across New Zealand, and this one takes the cake. I'm sure in another tea break episode at some point we'll cover off the wackiest or weirdest stadiums in world sport. Apollo Project Stadium. If you have a look at it at some point, it looked like the game was played out the back of somebody's garage. There's like no. Looks like the back is a car park, and it's like a League 2 ground, right? Basically, you've got a pitch, and then you've got like a flat sort of basically it looks like a League 2 ground with a car park at the back. But was the cake tin not available? I don't know. But credit to Phoenix for losing the big chief. And look, I hope he gets another gig in the A-League somewhere. He's a great manager, but they did well to resurrect themselves from that situation of getting rid of a manager and then bouncing back with results. I think is a credit to them. Yes, Wanderers are shit, and Gary Van Eggplant or whatever his name is. Oh right. Eat flip or
I'm sorry, that's the best one I've heard. Gary Van Eggplant.
Yeah. Anyway, Wanderers are shit. Thank you. Wanderers win the spoon, and they really deserve it, because I mentioned I saw them play live about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it was some of the worst football I think I've ever seen. And that's when we weren't even hitting our straps, which we have now. But
that was so bad. We even beat them 2-0 last week, and we don't even know how to score goals at the moment. I'll get onto ours shortly. We'll detour up to Brisbane on the way there, where you guys have basically said, hey, maybe we are going to go back to back. Because all of a sudden you're done with the Asian Champions League and you can play football consistently again. Who'd have thunk it, right? Ridiculous.
Just crazy. And I mean, you've heard me mention multiple times over the last sort of 6 to 8 weeks that while we were still in an AFC run, I just didn't think we had the game style to play finals, and we didn't deserve to play it. Now we're going to be playing finals. So, Sunday for us is going to be massive. I mean, I know you guys play Auckland, and we'll get to that in a bit.
I mean, I just realised what you mean by massive. You're playing Adelaide, we're playing Auckland. The gap between 2nd and 5th, so Auckland and you guys, is 3 points. Although I will say Auckland's goal difference is far superior than the rest of us. Yeah. So realistically, I mean, Adelaide are the only team who can get 2nd realistically. But still, you never know. I mean, ours is 8, Auckland's 13. If we by some chance put 5 past Auckland, which is very ridiculously unlikely. But
what I didn't realise on the weekend is that Auckland game had a lightning strike and a delay of its own. So I was out doing the shopping on yesterday and didn't even realise. I thought, they're playing today. I'll check the scores, and they're 1-0 up as I messaged you to let you know. But I didn't realise there was like a delay. Like literally, you could hear the thunder in the effects mic, and the crowd were going off. They loved it. I hope a few of them didn't bring any golf clubs or anything into the ground, but it could have been door umbrellas. That could have been dangerous. But just it just sums up the league. We've had all sorts of weird things happening, but I'm calling it Super Sunday. I think it's going to be massive, but. I mean, in terms of
the big talking point is right. this is a 26 game season, right? To show you the quality of the football and the quality of the league, this season. A Newcastle win finishes them on 48 points. 48. The champions of this league can only reach 48 points. That's how bad the league has been this season, people, for those of you who don't fully know. That the champions of this league can play 26 games, win the league comfortably, and not reach 50 points to do so. That's alarm bell stuff for me, in all honesty. That is serious alarm bells for the future of the football in this country in terms of professional football. Serious fucking alarm bells, stuff like that is.
I will make a couple of points just on the City game, just quickly.
Oh yeah, sorry. We'll get back
that's okay. I went off on a bit of a tangent too, and rightly so. Two things. So Brisbane, I think I heard Brisbane have got half their games at KO Stadium next season, which I think is a good move for them. It's a bit smaller, and they're going to not make Suncorp look like Amy Park. I think that's fantastic. But Salas with a goal of the year contender possibly. It was a fantastic volley. But Melbourne City, if you're listening, and I've said this to you off camera, whatever you do, take his passport, don't let him leave, don't let him go to Tullamarine. You've got to sign Marcus Eunice to a permanent deal if you can. If you've got a chance to do it, fucking do it. Because I think this kid's been a breath of fresh air for our club. Young Socceroo, and we saw why. We've seen why since he came in. He's lit the competition on fire. He knows how to score. If we're going to be any chance of going deep into the finals this season, he's got to start. And if we're going to be any chance of making finals again next season and beyond, he's got to be signed to some sort of permanent deal or loan him back in, because it's taken him for me to actually give two shits about our fortunes now. And I mean that because I said to you, like I said before, I did not see us after we got bundled out of the AFC. You heard me say it. I just said I don't think we have the game plan to play finals or make finals, and we've somehow made it. And it's on the back of this guy and a couple of others. Just quality kids. Mehmeti scoring as well. The next question is how are we going to go come finals? And I'm sure with them kicking off next week, we'll talk about that then. But credit to Brisbane for hanging in there. They did take the lead just before half time, and I was grateful that we had the fortitude to pull them back and obviously go in front. So credit to them.
On to the Saturday night game, where Sydney FC put in one of the most pathetic displays of possession-based football I think I've ever seen.
Go off.
600. I'm just going to go off the stats here alone. 687 passes completed, 257 of those in the opponent's half, 137 in the final fucking third. That's a fraction of the completed passes that were actually in dangerous territory. That has to be one of the softest attempts at dominating the ball I've ever seen in a fucking football match. Like, I have never seen a team look so actively disinterested in winning a game which was important to win, just for finals position alone. Just because you've made the finals doesn't mean you can just decide, who cares? We could finish 6th and have an absolute horrific run through the finals through away games now. Like, this team have absolutely shat the bed way too many times this season, right? This Perth Glory side, they've been on the rocks, they've been on their holidays for a few weeks. The finals have been done. The injury to Tom Lawrence ended them earlier this season. They had zilch to play for. They weren't going to finish bottom. They weren't anywhere near the finals. Sydney FC, if you look at the stats, you think, how come they didn't win 4-5-0? Because we fucking pussyfoot it up front. Play a fucking penetrative pass. Play through the lines. Yeah, fine, they were sitting back and putting 7-8 plus men behind the ball. But we weren't even attempting to break them down. How many times in that game I saw us get the ball out wide, either cut the ball back, pass back inside 5 yards, cut the ball, pass the ball sideways 5 yards, or the fucking most ridiculous thing and damning thing, take the ball past 2 or 3 men, run along the edge of the box, ignore any opportunity to fire a shot off at goal, and then pass it sideways when you get to the other end of the pitch. Pathetic, Sydney. Pa-fucking-etic. with a capital fucking P, right? If you want to be serious about winning this league, you've got to show some intent to actually score fucking goals when you're on top, right? Yeah. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Stamatolopoulos came back in January because he was worried about being in Scotland and not getting enough game time would damage his chances of playing for Australia in the World Cup. Mate, you're not fucking playing for Australia the way you're playing in Sydney. You've been shocking. You've not come back to try and improve your chance to get in the fucking Socceroos squad. You've come back to have a fucking holiday back in your home country. Ahmet Arslan, the worst number 10 in football possibly ever. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've never seen a so-called creative player be so incapable of being creative. Can't pass, can't shoot, slowest fucking attacking player I think I've ever seen, right? I mean, he looks like he's about 50. He plays like he's 85. I'm sorry. Pathetic. Shit. The recruitment. Awful. Right? Fine, Joe Lolly might be back for the finals, but it might be too late by then because we might get knocked out in our first fucking game the way the things are going. The stuff is going right now. How are we relying on a 20-year-old Thiago Quintal to be our best player right now in the team? And we're not even fucking starting him. I'm sorry, I know you love PK because of all the trophies and success he had with you, and I'll give him credit. We haven't conceded a goal. We haven't conceded a goal in the 3 games he's managed us. I'll give him credit for that. We've also only scored 2, and they came against the team who were absolutely diabolically shit. And even then, it was a struggle in the derby.
Yeah.
What is going on with my club right now? The complete lack of any sort of intensity in going forward is absolutely wrecking our chances right now. And it cannot seriously be that Joe Lolly is the answer. An injured Joe Lolly, like we've been like for too long. Another one I want to point out, sorry, Al Hassan Toure can fucking do one, right? The attitude that guy showed when getting subbed off after one of the most subpar performances I've seen from him this season. Do one, mate. Honestly, you cannot walk off the pitch, kicking the turf, getting angry when you've done fuck all in the 70-odd minutes you were on the pitch for in the first place. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, look, enough about that. Look, the game was meaningless ultimately because we were in the finals, but it was meaningful in the fact that had we won, we would have had a chance to actually finish second, and what a difference that made. As it stands, I think we're probably going to finish 6th and get knocked out our first attempt at the finals, so yeah.
Well, you might even play us in the knockouts, so who knows?
But then
I really hope it doesn't come to that because I've got.
Well, I don't. I don't want that because every time we played you this season, even though that when you beat us at Allianz, we were probably the best. You were crap. We still didn't deserve to get anything from that game.
Yeah, and plus you already know who I want to play in the first week of the finals if we're hosting. So yeah, but I mean I'm not going to talk too much about them. That's
well, look, we'll wrap up. Yeah. We'll wrap up this week's episode, and we'll wrap up. With the last 2 games, look, Auckland. I love Stevie Corica, but I mean, come on, you're playing Central Coast at home. Newcastle dropped more points. You've just got to beat them to take it to the final day. And look, I will say one thing: how on earth the Mariners haven't got a red card for what is a clear stamp on the lower back of Sam Cosgrove, I'll never know. And his reaction kind of tells it all, kind of like a thing of like, oh, I'm someone who expects a much higher standard of football given the fact that I've come from the EFL, and I'm absolutely flabbergasted that the refs aren't even batting an eyelid over what just happened. I mean, preaching to the choir, mate, honestly. We all agree with you, honestly.
Yeah, it's pretty ordinary officiating.
But still, another pathetic performance from a team who's trying to chase a team down this season. We've seen it all before. Look, good finish from Ali Ogler. He's definitely been a bright spark with second half of the season since coming to Mariners, even though their season's kind of petering out themselves. But yeah, look, the title's over, and it's over in the most typical fashion of what we've seen this season. And to wrap up this week, Adelaide, you didn't draw a game at home 1-1. That's really all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
You scored 3 times and didn't draw Adelaide 1-1.
First home win again. Well, first home win for a while too. So, but then I mean, like we said, it's jumps down to Super Sunday now. I mean, two pretty important games in terms of the makeup of the six, and then we'll sort of see where the chips fall. And I'll be there. You know, I've got a big weekend coming up, which I'm going to touch on just now. So
quickly touch on it because I've ranted so long about Sydney. We're approaching the hour mark. Not that we have an hour mark cut off, but yeah.
No, exactly. I mean, we haven't even covered the chaos of Saturday night yet. So, yeah, big weekend. So Storm and Rabbitohs on Anzac night, which is always a great night of the calendar. I'll be there. One of my first 2 visits to AAMI Park in the space of not even 24 hours. So, and then Saints are back at Marvel against West Coast. The return of the King. Big Maxi Bond back, first game in nearly 2 years.
It's so typical of your team to hype it up like this, and he gets injured in 5 minutes again.
Well, he's going to be playing probably reduced minutes, so hopefully that doesn't happen. So good old Five on the bench. But I mean, I guess the highlight of the weekend for me, given that St Pauli didn't win, aside from City, Saints, West Brom did win, and we'll see if those financial penalties ever.
United won, by the way, in case anyone was interested.
Oh, good.
Chelsea absolutely dominated the game, but I mean, Carrick with a tactical masterclass to beat them.
Yeah. Is what's his name getting his haircut after the end of the season, or what?
No, because it would be incredible. I mean, look, we got to win another 4 games in a row. We got Brentford at home next, Liverpool at home, then Sunderland away, and then Forest at home. I mean, look, it's doable, but it ain't going to be easy.
If it doesn't happen, dude, just give it up. You've had a good run, and you don't want birds living in your hair or anything like that, or it's anyway. Maybe the Seagulls from AAMI Park can find a new home in his hair, but anyway. But
he's joking, Frank. If you're watching,
I am kidding. I do like your rules, dude, but it's about as much chance as me growing my hair, what's left of it.
Look, so. If you're watching, Frank, please like and subscribe. We'd love to have you on and have a chat to you as a guest. But
the last point also, so big weekend coming up. It's going to be massive. But the point I will make is Saturday night, massive game. In a game where we're looking at live stream, but we're going to hopefully do one for an even bigger game in a couple of Saturdays. But Saints going down by a single point in Adelaide against the Crows, epic game. And you did say, Chester, that it would have been a great game for us to capture because you wanted the Crows to win just to capture my reaction. And boy, let me tell you. It would have been
better if you were absolutely pumped by them, but yeah.
Well, we almost were, and the funny thing is, it had all the hallmarks of that happening. Because as I've told you, we've played there in recent years, and they've absolutely pulverised us. The last time we came out that close against them was in Cairns, and that was about 4 years ago. And I think that was the game I was actually going to go to until Anastasia Palaszczuk closed the borders on me. So I had a marquee set for free beer and free food and stuff and everything, and they fucking go and close the borders, and we lose by 7 points. So, but anyway, we lost by a point, but we led by 26, I think, at one stage in the second, and then gave away 9 goals in a row. Gee, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? I wonder what team's done that before.
9 goals in a row.
And they were up by about the same margin, and we came back with an absolute flurry and kicked a goal with 10 seconds left to be a point behind, and best result we've had against them in a while. I know it's some might say, it's celebrating mediocrity.
Yeah, that's a very sad statement to make, that the best result you've had against them is losing by 1.
But two very winnable games, and I think we really must win both. One against West Coast, who didn't do much yesterday in the derby, and then Carlton the week after. I'm rubbing my hands together at the moment because that's going to be a massive game.
You hate watching Carlton this weekend just gone.
Oh yeah, it was they almost, well, not almost, they led Collingwood for most of the game, and then Collingwood came back with a wet sail and beat them. So they've got massive problems, and I want to beat them for one reason, not just because we've got 2 of their ex-players, or 3. There's a guy on social media who's been bagging us, and he's a Carlton supporter. He's Saints are living rent-free in his head, clearly, because he should be focusing on his own club, but he is obsessed with us. So, you know who you are, dude. Eat a dick, dude. Worry about your own mob instead of mouthing off about ours. And, that's why I want to win that game. Haven't decided if I'll make the trip, the 5 kilometre, maybe even less trip to Marvel for that one yet, with tickets going at concession tickets going at $60 a pop. So, for a bird's eye view on level 3 behind the goals with about 3 bays I think left to choose from. So, you wanted a fully ticketed game, Marvel, and now you've got it for one average side. And Carlton have only won one game for the year, and that was by a goal against Richmond. So that, for all the people that want to bag us and how we're going, keep in mind we've played finals teams from last year so far in all but 2 games. I think it's 1 or 2 games. So there you go. You've heard me say, this will be a year.
Still saying it.
No, if we win the next 2, we're 4-4, and then we can start looking at it from that point on.
Yeah.
Because we've only played. That's right. We've only played one, except for the game coming up. We've only played one actual game at Marvel for the whole year, and that was against the back-to-back premiers. So go figure.
Fair enough. I mean,
anyway.
That'll wrap up another week of Bundesliga A-League, and let's let Ben talk a bit about Saints review.
It's cathartic, yeah.
We'll now extend the title to. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Obviously, the A-League is wrapping up. Well, the regular season is. We've got one more week of regular football, and going to get a bit weird around finals time, but we still got 4 more weeks of Bundesliga action to cover regardless, and then obviously we got the World Cup shortly after that, so still a hell of a lot of football, and then obviously the new seasons begin after that. A hell of a lot of football, and we've already toyed with the idea of dropping the A-League next season and swapping it with the Premier League, because that would be far more interesting, but then we might have to separate the videos, and because the reason we can fit the A-League with the Bundesliga is because the A-League only has 6 games a week. The Premier League has more than the Bundesliga. So I don't think we're going to attempt to cover 18 games of football in one video. But we'll work something out about it.
And especially if we're going to be having one Bundesliga chat and then one game with Bundesliga 2. So hopefully, as I said before, it doesn't come to that. But that's definitely a conversation post-season in the production meetings that we wanted to have.
Games of football, should say. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So but anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed. That wraps up another week of our Bundesliga A-League weekly review. We'll be back on Thursday with something for the tea break. Who knows? We'll think of something. We always do last minute, don't we, Ben?
Certainly do. I'll be keen to see what it's going to be this week. I'm sure we'll come up with something. I've got to go out to Collingwood / North Richmond for a job interview tomorrow. So maybe I'll do a walkthrough and report back from ground zero maybe, but we'll see.
Ground zero. But yeah, take care, guys, and we'll see you guys on Thursday for the next Tea Break episode. So peace out, take care, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Take care, guys.